universities, Hispanic serving institutions or higher education, and other private or state institutions of higher learning with agriculture curriculums. Also included in eligible applicants would be nonprofit organizations, community-based organizations, including a network or coalition of community-based organizations, and Native American tribal governments, federally recognized or non-federally recognized. Only consideration will be given to limited resource, socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, and socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers beginning or veteran farmers and ranchers servicing legal entities or joint operations. OPPE does reserve the right to allocate funds between the two categories based on the number and quality of the applications received. Let's give you a little bit of background on this funding opportunity description. OPPE is committed to ensuring that socially disadvantaged, historically underserved, included limited resource socially disadvantaged, and veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers are able to equitably participate in USDA programs. Community-based and nonprofit organizations, higher education institutions, and eligible tribal entities with an expertise in working within rural persistent poverty areas of socially disadvantaged or veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers can play a critical role in addressing the unique difficulties that face and can help improve the ability to start and maintain successful agricultural businesses and create growing communities. Organizations must establish partnerships to provide local agriculture education and training and extended outreach efforts to connect with and assist local socially disadvantaged and or veteran farmers and ranchers, agricultural producers to provide them with information on available USDA resources. Only one proposal will be accepted from each organization. Projects must provide outreach, education, and training in agriculture, conservation, agribusiness, and forestry with a focus on economic and workforce development, innovation and technology, and the quality of life through the agriculture industry. This partnership includes working closely with our office, the Office of Partnership and Public Engagement, the USDA liaisons that are across the country, and the State Food and Agriculture Council to coordinate outreach and training events and attend OPPE-led events in your proposed service territories. The overall goal is to develop partnerships with eligible entities to expand outreach and assistance to help our socially disadvantaged and historically underserved farmers and ranchers and ag producers and communities in these persistent poverty areas, included in opportunity zones through the agriculture sector. And what we're looking to do is really to foster that hope and opportunity, build those assets, and create wealth for our farmers and ranchers. Eligible entities will identify communities to receive tailored technical assistance and support by organizing and facilitating summits and trainings through partnership with that USDA liaison, with that state FAC, collectively known as the One USDA teams. Entities will establish what we call local prosperity council that consists of, but is not limited to, the mayor, a county planning committee, a board of supervisors, superintendent of education, a board of aldermen, a board of education. But you must have our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and agriculture producers. And you also could have faith-based organizations to focus on those locally driven bottom-up solutions to address those issues, those self-identified challenges and issues. Proposals will be accepted for projects in any of the 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Caribbean islands, including Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Pacific Island areas. A total of up to $4 million is available for this opportunity. Applicants of Native American tribal government. They should be federally recognized, or they can be non-federally recognized. A nonprofit having a 501c3 status with the IRS, other than institutions of higher learning, or a private public or state-controlled institution of higher education. Program description. The statutory authority for this action is 7 U.S. Code 2279C, which authorizes awards funding for projects designed to provide that outreach, education, and technical assistance to our socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers and ranchers and producers. In addition, again, as I mentioned, we did receive funding, additional funding from our Conservation Technical Assistance and Water Conservation Service, our Soil Conservation and Domestic Allotment Act, Public Law 7476 NA 16 U.S. Code 590A, 590F, 590Q. But these funds are to follow the same guidance of our 2501 funds. What we're looking to do, we're looking to leverage USDA and partner entities to assist our persistent poverty communities with socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers, ranchers, and agriculture producers to improve, restore, maintain their natural resources, and grow in the communities through an established platform and process that focuses on fostering that hope and opportunity, asset building, and wealth creation. In addition, these funds may be used to educate and assist these persistent poverty communities with those socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and ag producers on accessing resources and opportunities available through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Through the improved grant, organizations will assist these persistent poverty communities with socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and ag producers by developing partnerships and strategies to address their self-identified issues. What we're looking to do is to enhance the collaboration through outreach, education, and training, through our summits and workshops. Educate these persistent poverty communities with the limited resource socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers and ranchers to increase their access and their participation in USDA programs. We're also looking to assist them to become more economically sustainable through a locally driven bottom-up process. We're also looking to assist our socially disadvantaged limited resource farmers and our socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers and ranchers and producers to build and strengthen access to USDA programmatic service, and looking to help them promote economic and community development and sustainability. We want to improve their natural resources. We want to increase the numbers of producers. We want to improve the environmental and economic status of that working land. And we want to create this local prosperity council through the coordination and collaboration with USDA, local officials, community leaders, and of course, our farmers and ranchers and producers. We're looking to develop a plan to create sustainable communities that will address the self-identified challenges and needs through the agriculture industry. Proposals from eligible entities must address at least 5 of the following areas: increase access to USDA programs and services, resolution of heirs property, improve our farmers' financial literacy, increase and retain the entrepreneurships in the ag industries, and to include our farmers and ranchers and producers, improve knowledge of agribusiness understanding, promotion of USDA program services to build that capacity to promote economic and workforce development, innovation, and technology through the ag industry, improve the knowledge of agricultural and natural resources, and an increased use or implementation of some of our conservation practices. Eligible projects will increase the delivery of agriculture and conservation assistance to our limited resource socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, our socially disadvantaged and or veteran farmers and ranchers and producers through coordinating and leveraging program outreach and technical assistance to manage natural resources. Other projects should focus on assisting our socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers and ranchers and limited resource socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers with all aspects are participating in USDA programs, including understanding and assisting in the program application process. What we want to do is really take and utilize USDA in a total holistic fashion. I give a speech all the time that one producers, and I'm reminded of a blueberry producer that is located in Alabama. And one of the things that producer, as one of these specialty crop producers, could access pretty much every program, almost every program at USDA. You'd be able to start off at the Farm Service Agency, looking at the micro loan, farm operating, farm ownership loan, the NAP program, move over to the Natural Resources Conservation Service, access that Conservation Technical Assistance Program, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and the Conservation Security Program. Then they could access Rural Development's Value Added Producers Grant Program. If you're a livestock producer and other that have energy need, we have the Rural Energy of America program that's offered through Rural Development. In addition, they could access Rural Risk Management Service, their programs. Then they could also access the Agriculture Marketing Service Program, looking at the Good Ag Practice Program, maybe the Farmers Market and Local Promotion Food Program. But then we also have our NASS agency, where we need these farmers to complete those ag censuses that really promote who our farmers are and where they're located. And there's also access to our programs that are offered through NEFA, through the Extension Service, where we can pair new technologies with this farming community. And so what we want to do is provide that broad spectrum of what USDA has to offer, paired with our communities. And once our communities, those community leaders learn who our farmers are and they learn, we're looking to really expand the opportunity. We're looking to elevate, expose, empower, and educate our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and ag producers through these opportunities. Another thing that we're looking for, projects must follow the program summary's 6 steps action items required and target economic development, innovation and technology, workforce development, and the quality of life of our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and ag producers. Projects may include, but are not limited to, providing technical assistance, transfer of technology, developing natural resource tools, and information to address resources concerns in soil, water, air, plant, and animal. The following steps will be required of all successful awardees. Identify persistent poverty communities, including communities located in opportunity zones with those socially disadvantaged, limited resource, socially disadvantaged, and or veteran farmers, ranchers, and ag producers. And you really want to assist them to identify those local leaders and partners to create that local prosperity council to champion in order to carry out the local efforts needed to engage the federal, state, and local partners to connect them with the USDA programs and resources. We want you all to conduct an assessment of the local challenges and issues within those identified communities of our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, with them being a part of that conversation. We want them to list all of the local assets with a detailed description of each one. And then we want you to identify some key collaborators and partners to assist our farmers and ranchers. We want you all to describe ongoing implementation efforts in that community with those socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. And we want you all to provide that technical assistance to communities to apply for the programmatic resources and service and opportunities that address the needs of our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and agriculture producers. And we can do this through the hosting of in-person and online trainings for our socially disadvantaged and our veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers in those counties, in those persistent poverty areas, including in those opportunity zone areas. Some of the anticipated outputs and performance measures. Some of the outputs that we're looking for. Number of limited resource socially disadvantaged, and or veteran farmers and ranchers served or trained. The number of trainings held, and the number of limited resource socially disadvantaged and socially disadvantaged or veteran farmers and ranchers or agri-producers that attended. So you have to keep an accurate count. The number of local prosperity councils with those identified challenges and assessments. The number of persistent poverty communities, including communities in those opportunity zones identified. A number of USDA agency providing resource The number of programs and resources applied for and by those communities with those limited resource, socially disadvantaged, and or vulnerable farmers and ranchers and ag producers. The number of mentors and local leaders identified to assist our socially disadvantaged, limited resource, and socially disadvantaged and or veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers. The number of state and local resource leverage. The number of private sector partners and resources leverage. The creation of a program to enhance the operation viability of our limited resource, socially disadvantaged and or veteran farmers and ranchers, and the number of limited resource, socially disadvantaged or veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers applications that are submitted for consideration of USDA programs. We're also looking for activities that support increased participation of these limited resource, socially disadvantaged, and veteran farmers and ag producers in USDA programs. Partnerships formed locally to improve access to those USDA programs and services, and progress and financial reports will be required no more than quarterly. Outcomes. We are totally looking for outcomes. We're looking for the impact. We're looking for those differences made. Project directors will be required to document anticipated outcomes that are funded on their announcement, including but not limited to the following: documenting the number of new farmers and ranchers your organization assists as a result of your projects and the type of assistance. Document the number of local prosperity councils created. Document the number of assessment plans and strategies developed. Document the race, sex, national origin, disability, and number of limited resource, socially disadvantaged and or veteran farmers and ranchers applying for those USDA programs and services. Document the race, sex, national origin, disability, and the number of USDA programs approved for funding by program areas for our socially disadvantaged and veteran farmers and ranchers and ag producers as a result of your activities. Document the number of limited resource, socially disadvantaged, and veteran farmers that have better access to USDA programs, including those conservation implementation as a result of your outreach and training. Document the enhanced sustainability and retention of those farm operations among those farmers and ranchers. We're also looking at outcomes such as documenting how profitability and economic sustainability of those farmers and ranchers, and documenting an increased number and type of USDA programs and services utilized as a result of your project. We're also looking to document the partnerships and resources leveraged, including a list of individuals, parties, entities, and organizations. Performance measures are tied to the goals or objective of each of the activities and ultimately the overall purpose of the project. The statutory authority, we'll go there. The statutory authority for this action is 7 U.S. Code 2279C, which authorizes awards funding for projects designed to provide outreach, education, and technical assistance to our socially disadvantaged and veteran farmers and ranchers and producers. Grant funds are also awarded under CTAs, our Conservation Technical Assistance, Soil and Water Conservation, Soil Conservation and Domestic Act. Applicants may charge their negotiated indirect costs or 10%, whichever is lower. Indirect costs exceeding 10% will not be permitted. Again, the total estimated funding expected to be made available through this competitive grant process is approximately $4 million. Project periods. Performance period for the project selected for the solicitation will not begin prior to the effective award date listed in the grant agreement. The maximum project period is 3 years. The award type, funding for selected projects will be in the form of a grant, which must be fully executed no later than September 30th, 2020. The anticipated federal involvement will be limited to the following activities: approval of recipient final budget and project narrative or statement of work accompanying the grant agreement, monitoring the recipient's performance through quarterly, annual, for multi-year projects, and final financial and performance reports, and evaluation of the recipient's use of federal funds through desk audits and on-site visits. Eligibility information. Applicants and applications must meet eligibility criteria by the application deadline to be considered for award. Eligible applicant type is determined by the implementing program statute. Eligibility for this opportunity is limited to the following entity type: nonprofits having a 501c3 status with the IRS, other than institutions of higher learning, Native American tribal government, federally and non-federally recognized, private institutions in higher education, public and state-controlled institutions of higher education. Please note that in order to submit proposal, organization must create an account in grants.gov and in the System for Award Management, www.sams.gov, both of which could take several weeks. Therefore, we strongly suggest that organizations begin their process immediately. Registering early could prevent unforeseen delays in submitting your proposals. Create cost sharing and matching. There are no cost sharing nor matching requirements associated with this funding opportunity announcement. Applications for eligible entities that meet all criteria will be evaluated as follows. Proposals must comply with the submission instructions and requirements. Pages in excess of the page limitation will not be considered. Proposals must be received through grants.gov at www.grants.gov or on or before the proposal submission deadline. Applications will receive an electronic confirmation receipt of their proposals from grants.gov. Proposal and submission information. Data University numbering system. In accordance with the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act and the USDA implementation, all applicants must obtain and provide an identifying number from Duns and Bradstreet DNB, Data University numbering system. Applicants can receive a DUNS number at no cost by calling the toll-free DUNS number request line at 1-866-705-5711 or visiting the DNB website at www.dnb.com. Per 2 CFR Part 200, applications are required to 1, be registered in SAMS prior to submitting an application. 2, provide a valid unique entity identifier in the application. And 3, contain and to maintain and achieve SAMS registration with current information at all times during which the organization has an active federal award or application or plan under consideration by the federal awarding agency. OPPE may not make a federal award to an applicant until applicants has complied with all applicable unique entity identifier and SAMS requirements. Obtain proposal packages from grant.gov. All applications must register for an account on grants.gov to submit their application. There's no cost for registration. All applications must be submitted through www.grants.gov. Applicants may download individual grant proposal forms from grants.gov. For assistance with grants.gov, please consult the applicant user guides at https://grants.gov/assets/applicant-user-guide.pdf. Applicants are required to submit proposals through, again, grants.gov. Applicants will be required to register with grants.gov. Federal agencies posting funding opportunity on grants.gov. The OPPE is not responsible for the submission issues associated with grants.gov. And if you experience submission issues, please contact grants.gov support staff for assistance. Proposals must again be submitted by August 24, 2020 via grants.gov at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Proposals submitted after this deadline will not be considered. Content of proposed package submission. All submission must contain completed and electronically signed original application form, as well as a project narrative and a budgeted narrative as described below. Forms, documents, and attachments. The forms listed below can be found in the proposed packages at grants.gov and must be submitted with all application. Required forms are provided in the package and fillable forms. Applications must be downloaded and completed, and applicant must download and complete these forms and submit them in the application submission portal at grants.gov. PDF documents listed below are documents the applicant must create and submit in PDF format. Please use the checklist of documents below to submit your applications through grants.gov. They are standard form SF-424, project abstract summary, project narrative file, this is where you will really attach your project narrative in the PDF format. Standard form SF-424A, budget narrative file, standard form SF-424B, key contact forms, form AD-303A, 3030, form AD-3031, and the attachment forms. Please note, additional required forms for organizations being awarded a grant will be provided for execution upon approval. I think this is basic information. If you would like, well, let's talk about the project summary and the the project performance site locations. Let's go there. Please include all locations in your proposed projects will be carried out at additional sites. Each page must be on a numbered 8.5 by 11 paper with 1-inch margin. The text of this proposal must be double-spaced and typed in New Times Roman, no smaller than 12 points. Proposals that fail to comply with the required content and format will not be considered. Proposals must be divided into the following sections and are limited to the number of pages stated per section. Project summary, 250 words maximum. Introduction, 1 page maximum. Needs assessment, 2 page maximum. Project objective, 2 page maximum. Methods, 2 page maximum, plus deliverable table. Budget, 1 page maximum. Evaluation, 250 words. Project summary will be awarded up to 10 points. Introduction, up to 10 points. Needs assessments, up to 25 points. Programmatic objectives, up to 20 points. Methods, up to 20 points. Budget, up to 10 points. Indirect cost, again, cannot exceed 10%. Evaluation will be awarded up to 5 points. Subawards and partnerships. Fundings may be used to provide subaward, which include using subaward to fund partnerships. However, the recipient must utilize at least 50% of the total funds awarded, and no more than 3 subawards will be permitted. Applicant must provide documentation of a competitive bidding process for service contracts and products, including consultants and contractors, and conduct cost and price analysis to the extent required by the applicable procurement regulation. The OPPE will award funds to one eligible applicant as the lead award recipient. Confidential information. In accordance with 2 CFR Part 200, the name of entities submitting proposals as well as proposed content and evaluation will be kept confidential. Pre-submission proposed assistance. OPPE may not assist individual applicants by reviewing draft proposal or by providing advice on how to respond to evaluations criteria. OPPE will post questions and answers related to this funding opportunity during the open period on the frequently asked questions. Please visit our website at http://www.usda.gov/partnership to review the most recent terms and conditions for administering grants. Applicants selected for funding must inform their participant that USDA or any other third-party representative may contact them for quality assurance. Application review information. Evaluation criteria. Only eligible entities whose proposals meet the threshold criteria of announcement will be reviewed according to the evaluation criteria set forth below. Applicants should explicitly and fully address these criteria as part of their proposal package. Each proposal will be evaluated under the regulation established under 2 CFR Part 200. Proposals will be screened for completeness and compliance with the provision of this notice. Incomplete, non-compliant, and/or proposals not meeting the formatting criteria will be eliminated from competition. Merit technical reviews will be conducted by a qualified external evaluation peer review panel. Selection of reviewers. All applications will be reviewed by the review panel. Panel members are selected based upon training and experience in assisting historically underserved farmers and ranchers and agriculture producers. Proposal notification and feedback. Successful applicants will be notified by the OPPE via telephone, email, and/or postal mail. Within 10 days of the award status notification, unsuccessful applicants may request feedback on their application. Okay, it's 11:40. Let's move into questions and answers. We'll end at this time, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand virtually. Kenya?
Until then, Jackie, and thank you all for joining. We do have some questions that are in the lobby.
Would you like to read those questions, Kenya?
Yeah, we got a echo I was trying to get rid of. Okay. One of the questions was about how persistent poverty counties are listed in ERS. The data that we use, unfortunately, is from the latest census, and we had a few people that were not located in persistent poverty counties and wanted to know, does that disqualify them from working under this grant program?
Are they saying as an applicant, but all socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, they must, in those persistent poverty counties, you have to work in those persistent poverty counties with those socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers that are listed on ERS.
The issue was that some of them are not listed. For instance, California. We were told that California has no persistent poverty counties, according to the data.
That's according to the data. That is our latest data that we have. And what they can do is they can reach out to us and we will work with our USDA liaison. But the data that ERS is provided as persistent poverty counties is the data that we are looking to work in. We will coordinate with OGC to determine if we can move past that data, and we will let you all know.
Okay, so we have someone by the name of Sanas that has their hand up. Go right ahead with your question.
Great. Hi, thanks. This is Sanaz with the National Young Farmers Coalition. I just was hoping that you could provide some more clarity. I'm not understanding exactly if the grants are specifically going to socially disadvantaged and veteran farmers and ranchers, or if there are other types of communities that can be served and there's just an emphasis or priority on those groups.
No, they are going specifically for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and ag producers.
Okay, so that's the entirety of the $4 million. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have another question about the clarity of local prosperity councils. Is there a list, and where can it be found, of the existing local prosperity council?
A local prosperity consists of community leaders, faith-based leaders, and we can provide that information. We will post what we consider a local prosperity council on our website. But you, as the organization who's applying, utilizing that as a guide, you will determine who those folks are. But I must again stress, socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers must be a part of that council. They are the core.
Okay, the other question is, when will that be available, the information you're speaking of?
I'll post it soon after this call.
And on what website?
We will place it on the Office of Partnership and Public Engagement website.
Okay, and the question about, do these maps apply to both 2501 and this opportunity? And the answer is yes. And Jackie, did you want to expand upon the difference between this funding and the 2501, the similarities as far as qualifications, and if they can be used for agritourism?
Yes. So this funding announcement falls under the same authority as 2501. All rules do apply. What we've done is incorporated OPPE's policy in bringing in the community to really expose, empower, educate, and expand our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers opportunities. One of the things that we were trying to do is really work to educate our communities on who these farmers are and the importance of these farmers, the importance that these farmers serve in their communities, and to make them aware of the agriculture sector, the agriculture industry, and really to promote agriculture across these persistent poverty communities. There are a lot of opportunities that we know in these communities. There are partnerships that can be formed with our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and producers, and we are looking really to expand those opportunities by making each one aware, bringing them to the table together to promote the agriculture industry and our farmers and ranchers. And that's the big difference, is that they have to work. You as an applicant who applies must work with those socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and the community to determine what the needs are based on what those farmers say and develop a plan of attack to address them based on those farmers, with them being a part of the dialogue from beginning to end.
Also, if you'd like to speak directly with Jackie, please raise your hand and you can speak live. Until then, I'll read off the questions. Please clarify the difference between having to work with farmers in persistent poverty counties versus being eligible to apply if your organization is not located in that county.
Your organization doesn't have to be, but the people that you're servicing have to be persistent poverty counties, socially disadvantaged, and farmers and ranchers. That's your target. Those are the people that you are serving. That's the intent of 2501, is to work with those producers.
Next question is, can organizations who work with limited resource farmers in persistent poverty counties, but not exclusively socially disadvantaged producers, are also eligible to apply for funding?
Only limited resource socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. Again, the key word here is that they have to be socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and producers.
Vanessa, you're live. Please go ahead with your question. Thanks for joining.
Okay, thank you. One of my question was if the applicants or grantees will be required to demonstrate experience that they have worked with at least 3 years. We also like disadvantaged on farmers of colors.
Yes, that is a part of the requirement of 2501, that you must demonstrate 3-year history of working with this group.
Does that answer your question, Vanessa?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have another question, another hand raised from Jen Silveri.
Hi, I'm just wondering if you can speak at all to the issue that is visually apparent when you look at the 2015 ERS map. If poverty persistent communities that are eligible in that map are largely concentrated in one region of the state, there's not equitable geographic distribution of funding, especially since it's using outsourced data. That is a concern, and I'm just hoping for a little bit of clarity on how that was justified.
This was provided by our Office of General Counsel. ERS is our lead research and economic agency, and so this is the information that we are provided from them.
Thank you. And then can you clarify, this was the same requirement in 2501 applications for the last round, or a priority? Are current 2501 applicants eligible to apply for community prosperity funds if they currently hold them?
Is it 1 year, Kenya, that they have left on their agreement? But if an applicant is applying, you can apply for both sets of funds, but only one award will be made.
Right. So we have a 3-year funding pot that was just awarded this year. We're ineligible to apply for community
Correct.
prosperity. Okay. Thank you.
And 20 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't speak to why more than half of the country is left out of eligibility.
This is the persistent poverty community information that we receive from the Economic Research Service.
Okay.
We can connect you with the individual that's responsible for that data.
I would greatly appreciate that, as well as who is responsible for putting that caveat in. Thanks.
Okay, next question is from Julie.
Hi there. Yeah, yep, I had a few questions. Jackie, you had mentioned that this program is operating under the same rules as 2501. So a few questions that I had just to make sure that we're understanding correctly. Will priority be given to nonprofit and community-based organizations as required under 2501?
The same rules apply for 2501 applies for CCP.
Okay, because I didn't see that in the funding announcement that it said priority will be given to CBOs and nonprofits.
If you look at the catalog of the federal domestic policy, it lists that that's the funding, that's the guide for these funds.
Okay,
Yeah,
additional clarity would be good just so that applicants understand where the priority is. And then are faith-based organizations also eligible to apply for this program?
if they have a nonprofit 501c3, yes.
Okay, and then just a few other questions. So I noticed that this program is offering the ability to have a no-cost extension, and I'm glad we have Kenya on the line. My understanding is that's not approved for 2501. Can you talk a little bit about the rationale for why it's okay for this program and not for 2501 grantees?
I mean, 1 year no-cost extension is available through 2501. Am I correct, Kenya?
Yes, you are allowed up to 1 year no cost
Yes.
extension, even if you have a multi-year project.
Okay,
There
thank
was a
you
lot
for
of
clarifying that. Yeah, I
Yes,
didn't see
a lot of
that in the funding
confusion on
announcement.
It is listed, and it is listed in the funding announcement.
Great. And then one final question. Will this program for applicants that can't get their applications in, 45 days is a very, very short turnaround, I'm sure, for most folks on this call. Will this program be offered again next year?
First of all, it is not a program. It is still related. It is still 2501. And if funds become available through discretionary funds again, yes, they will. And those determinations will be determined by management.
We also have a comment in the chat about California persistent poverty counties, and there are some listed, 4 actually: Fresno, Imperial, Merced, and Tulare. So whatever is listed on the ERS data is what we're allowing as eligible persistent poverty counties. The other question, it says the FOA says that an assessment of the resources is required. Is that to be completed before the application is submitted, or is this a part of the actual project that's being submitted, the application?
This is a part of that process.
And I think we have another hand raised. Julie, did you have another question, or you just need to lower your hand? I'll lower your hand. If you have another question, you most certainly can raise your hand, virtually hand raised. Let's see. We have another question, another hand raised by Vanessa. Go right. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me mute you. Unmute you. Okay, you should be able to speak. Nope, we still can't hear you. Hold one moment.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Hello, this is Vanessa from National Young Farmers Coalition. I was wondering more about the review panel. You said it was going to be a peer review panel, but we haven't seen the call out asking for reviewers for this specific program. Are you going to use the 2501 reviewers for this program?
Again, this is not a new program. This is a part of 2501. And yes, those same peer reviewers will be used for this one.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have one more hand raised. Jen Saveri, you may go right ahead with your question.
Hi, a reference was made earlier to decisions regarding a component of eligibility or how funds are allocated being made by management. Can you clarify who management is?
That is the Director for Office of Partnership and Public Engagement, which is, and the Deputy Director. So we are
So
the management team. And so
is that
if
Coach
fund-
Beatty too?
Yes.
Okay.
If funding comes through discretionary funds, we will work to determine how. As long as we're following the laws that are that governs those funds. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
One more thing, I'm curious how the shortened time frame for applicants to get applications in syncs with trying to be connected with community prosperity councils that we may or may not already be in contact with. If that information has not been publicly available to this point, that relationship building takes a lot of time.
Yeah, we understand that. But that's a part of the application process, so.
To build the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a part of the process.
Yeah, I'm just questioning given COVID-19 and everybody's inability to connect if that's feasible. Thanks.
Okay. Jackie, did you have anything else to add to that?
I will say that we're excited about the opportunity, and we are looking to work with you all, and just let's go forth and do great, and really work to promote, really empower, educate, expose, and expand the opportunities for our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and veteran farmers and ranchers. Thank you for participating on the call.
Well, Jackie, we have another question.
Okay, last one.
Jeff, you may go right ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Let's make sure you're not muted. Jeff, your line is open.
Hello.
There we go. Gotcha. Go right ahead.
This is Jeff Szynski with the National Center for Appropriate Technology 2501 project. Are we then not eligible for this program, or yes? I didn't. Maybe that was said already. And then can part of the grant be creating a persistent poverty council? Can that be part of the funding, or does it have to be existent?
I don't understand. Can you repeat that? I only heard part of you going in and out.
Okay, we have a 2501 project currently. Are we not eligible to apply for this program?
No, these are 2501. This is 2501. So if your project is current, no, you will not be eligible.
Well, that's not in the notice. Anyway,
it follows the same rules as 2501 as the statute that's outlined in the.
Okay. Thank you. And never mind that. Thank you very much.
The other issue that was raised was that if you have a 2501 that's ending this year, then you are eligible to apply. However, if you have a multi-year project that extends beyond this fiscal year, then you're not eligible. I hope that's clear. We have one more question, Jackie.
Last one, because I do have an, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This will be the last one, Kenya.
The last one, looks like they may have lowered their hand. If you have a question, that last person, if you raise your hand, we'll put you on the live. There we go. Hold on one second. This is from Jen, I think you're on. Go right ahead.
Thanks. I wanted to oh, can you hear me? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I just wanted to address Julie's question in chat about how wealth creation, asset building, fostering hope are documented, and are there established metrics that define that success that we are able to understand?
So when we are looking at fostering hope, okay, say that again. We are looking to provide opportunities to our socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. And if when you're providing opportunities, you are providing hope. Wealth creation is keeping our farmers business, creating new farmers, retaining positions of the social disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, of the staff that's available there, and keeping those farms in farming and those producers in the business of agriculture. Asset building is looking at purchasing new land and again keeping those farmers in business. That fostering hope and opportunity, wealth creation, asset building is a part of everyday life.
Does that answer your question, Jen?
Vaguely, yeah. It doesn't really give us defined metrics for success. I think you're talking about economic data and a lot of numbers we're used to generating, but in just a different way, if I'm understanding correctly. It would be very helpful to have suggested metrics of success that are actually measurable, defined in response documents to help applicants fulfill the intent of funding.
Okay.
We have a lot of more questions, but Jackie has to disconnect from the call. What we can do is I'll go through the chat and we'll try and get you answers and post those onto the OPPE website that Jackie mentioned. Jackie, did you have any last words before you disconnect?
And please feel free to send in questions to the website that's listed in the Federal Register and the grant notice.
In that NOFA, there's a website and an email where you can send questions directly to Jackie as well. Jackie, you want to give that email address?
Let me go back to it.
If not, it's in the NOFA.
But I'll give it back. There's a lot of
on the
that.
first page.
It's communityprosperity@usda.gov. Thank you all again. It's the echo is bad.